Hey everybody,
Hey, how's it going?
it's Nicholas Jansen here.
Jade Robertson.
We're about to go live with Wayne Wells, but first we got a little musical introduction for you.
A cappella. You don't know how you met me, you don't know why you can't turn around and say goodbye. All you know is when I'm with you, I make you free and swim through your veins like a fish in the sea. I'm singing, follow me, everything is alright. I'll be the one to tuck you in at night, and if you wanna leave, I can guarantee you won't find nobody else like me. I'm not worried about the ring you wear, 'cause as long as no one knows, then nobody can care. You're feeling guilty, and I'm well aware, but you don't look ashamed, baby, I'm not scared. This is poorly prepped. I'm saying, follow me, everything is alright. Hey, Jeffrey Mashie, how you doing tonight? Wanna leave, I can guarantee you won't find no love stream like ours here.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Speaking of follow me, follow Wildfire if you haven't yet. We're
a film production company that has been doing...
we do live streams.
We produce live streams.
Weekly live streams.
We've also produced a feature film that we're very excited about called Wildfire, that is all about the Perry family and how a wildfire comes and a lot of crazy stuff goes down. And this film that we've been working on for a really long time is something that we always still want to talk about on this channel. So just want to give a shout out to Greg Holmes and Rain Pacoda, who just continuously are working, hacking away at the edit. So kudos to them. Kudos to everybody checking into this live stream. I see Jeffrey Mashie in the house, Laser Stunts in the house, Ronan Stunts soon to be live in the house, and Jamie Haglin in the house. Well, the wildfire.
Yeah, go on.
I was gonna just jump in.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I was.
How you jump in? You started.
Well. Oh, I see. the old teleprompter. We are here to welcome today stunt coordinator, performer, and fight choreographer Wayne Wells to the Wildfire live stream. Wayne is a well-established stunt professional since 1998 with immense experience as a stunt performer, as well as an accomplished stunt coordinator and fight choreographer. A world-class martial artist from a young age, Wayne has earned multiple belts from boxing to kickboxing and
Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, Diatu Di-Ryu, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, Nimpo Ryu, Judo, Karate, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just to name a few. He has numerous wins and titles with over 270 sport, jiu-jitsu, and kickboxing fights. 270, just going to repeat that number, in addition to being a former competitive boxer.
Wow. Prior to his involvement in film and television, Wayne earned a great reputation as a certified and experienced trainer who trained many renowned athletes.
Fighters under his training have achieved golden gloves in various national and international championships, such as the Commonwealth Games. He has also spent several years training military and law enforcement units and correctional officers, coordinating anti-bullying programs, as well as operating and managing fitness and martial arts studios.
Wayne's ability to bring true realism in a fight and action scene while staying true to the MMA art form, coupled with outstanding professionalism, brings a key piece of success to each production he's worked on.
Worked on a few of them with him. Can't wait to go live with Wayne to talk about his career as a stunt coordinator performer, reflecting on how the pandemic has affected his life and work, the growth of the Toronto stunt community, theories and structures of his teachings, along with some general industry discussion, networking tips, strategies for success, all that good stuff.
Well,
and more.
Without further ado, I
say we bring Wayne on.
I say so. Let's do it. To the show, Wayne Wells.
It's a big one, guys. It's a big one. Hey, welcome.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Good. This is Nick. I don't think you've met him in person yet, but
no,
you guys meet on the live.
Absolutely.
How are you?
I do have my earphones on so I can hear much better. So
that's awesome.
We won't get any break. Yeah. So how you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing well, yeah.
Yeah, for a Tuesday, it's early in the week. How about you?
Been cool.
Just a nice, easy day today. I've got a couple days off, so I'm enjoying motorcycle riding, golfing, and maybe go fishing tomorrow. So I'm trying.
I feel like the top three things possibly to do.
Yeah, you got to stay busy. Stay busy.
Absolutely. That's awesome, man.
Since the open up last Friday, have you felt a rejuvenated sense of freedom or getting out there, going into stores and stuff?
My wife and I went to the factory outlet mall today in Niagara-on-the-Lake because I went to the Harley Davidson store and bought a few things because they're open now finally. So I got to go, but we were disappointed with uh, uh, the shopping mall spot because the lineups for people getting in, I cannot understand why people would wait 2, 3 hours to get into a store to maybe buy nothing.
Yeah.
And so we went and had lunch instead, and it was much more pleasant sitting with my wife and the nice. We had the whole patio to ourselves; no one was there, so it was fantastic. Yeah, exactly.
You live
So
down in Niagara.
we actually live in Welland. It's much easier for me to say St. Catharines because
Right.
a lot of people just don't know where Welland is. But yeah, I was born and raised in Niagara, and had my fighting career in Niagara. Oh, really?
Niagara,
Nick
yeah.
too? Whereabouts?
St. Catharines.
That's
Oh,
where
wow.
Yeah, we met at Brock.
we met in film school together.
Oh, Brock University. We used to train with the Brock wrestling team there, and
Oh,
yeah, Marty College, the coach, fantastic coach. There
Yep.
were some high-level wrestlers that came out of there that went to Olympics, UFC. Yeah, it was fun getting my butt whipped from those guys because they are just tyrants, wrestlers, man. You better be on your game. If not, they're just gonna grind you to the mats until you got nothing left. So, but it was fun. It was fun.
Stunt Dill is St. Catharines represent. Definitely, definitely. So you grew up in St. Catharines. Did you go to school in St. Catharines, like after high school, or
Uh,
what did you do after high school?
I've lived here all my life. We haven't really left. We've thought about leaving. We were going to move to BC at one time, Montreal, but and then having children and then having them settle into their ways was kind of hard for us just to pick up and let them start again when they were kind of situated and had friends and so on. So I'm kind of glad that we stuck it out here because I would not want to live in Toronto, to be truthful, because we have the pleasantries. I'm right between two lakes, so many motorcycle trails, water, fishing, golf clubs. I have a backyard. I don't have a concrete backyard type thing, so it's nice. My backyard is
As
my
we look
play.
out at our backyard,
What's that again?
as we look out at our backyard here, as we live in Toronto, it's like
Yeah, yeah, you're probably looking at traffic, right?
yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, it's nice down here. It's really developed a lot. There's a lot of people actually moving from Toronto down here because where we live, there's a whole subdivision down to the south end here
Yep.
that was farmland, and most of the people I speak to who live there are from Toronto, and they commute back and forth now because they want that country style living. They want a backyard. They want to have a little bit more privacy, I guess you might as well say. So, and less hustle and bustle. So,
So,
and really, it's not that far to drive. It's about an hour and a half. It's really, we're so used to it now. The only time it's really upsetting is when it's bumper to bumper traffic and you're sitting in a parking lot, right? So, but yeah, we can handle 1.5 hours drive. So,
I
it's all
used
good.
to, I used to work on films such as like Octavio is Dead, which I believe you worked on.
We worked on that together. Yes, yes. Yeah.
Nick has a question for you.
I guess
Sure.
as we're about halfway through the year, I just want to know like what's 2021 been like as far as your project on or what you've been up to?
Oh, compared to your
Yeah.
It was rough at the start of the year because no one really knew what was going to happen, how long we were going to be down. But actor themselves, the whole film community actually wanted to get back to work. So they've done such a great job with the COVID protocols, the testing, making sure that things are done right. So they've done an excellent job. And we're very fortunate because we've been working steady now for the last 7, 8 months, I believe, or something. So like a lot of productions in Toronto. It's actually hard to hire people right now because so many people are working in different projects. Riggers are hard to find. One coordinator called 20 people for stunt safety and couldn't get anybody. And then at the last minute, she got somebody. So, like, it's busy, which is making us all happy. And that just means that we're all doing what we love to do and moving forward. So, yeah, hopefully our government doesn't see different, but that's another topic, another story that we don't want to get into today. So,
I want to go right to the beginning. How did your love of stunts begin? Sort of like what inspired you, and when did you become inspired?
I think it was back in 80, 89, 90, a friend
Nice.
who, because in Niagara, we have about 7 or 8 stunt guys that live here. So they were the first core of stuntmen. What the Toronto stunt people called us the Niagara Stuntmen's Association. So we had about 8 or 10 of us, and a friend, 2 dear friends that did martial arts with and boxing with. They were in stunts prior to me, and they asked me if I wanted an opportunity to come out and be a grunt. And I didn't know what a grunt meant at first, but I found out in a heartbeat what a grunt is. And it was heavy work. We were on Corruptor. That was one of my first, my very first project was Kung Fu The Legend Continues. I did a fight scene with David Carradine, and it was classic, and he unfortunately punched me in the nose and made my nose bleed a little bit. And
Hey, no.
the whole stunt world was new to me at that point. And I stepped back and I thought the purpose of stunts was to miss the punches and make it look like they hit. But he apologized. He was very cool about it. We became very cool with it. In fact, he offered to take me out for dinner that night, and I couldn't go. But
No.
super nice guy though. And then from there, it just seemed to escalate. But being a grunt, where a lot of people think getting into the stunts that you're going to be doing stunts right off the bat, fire burns or stair falls. No. It's a totem pole climb. And for, I think, 3 to 4 years, I was doing stunt rigging, stunt safety, and being the guy to go get the equipment when the coordinators and riggers and everything needed it. But they would always use me as their guinea pig for testing out ratchets or what rigs they designed. So in turn, you had to prove yourself that you could work hard, take directions very well, because this is not an easy industry. It's time is money. We don't have the option of failing or having risks, so we got to eliminate all those factors. And it, you gotta have thick skin at the start, because it's disappointing when you don't get hired like all the other guys did at start, and then slowly you start getting called and making a name for yourself, and then building relationships, and also having mentors. You have to have somebody who is constantly giving you information, guidance, or if you needed that, you called out to them or reached out to them, that they were willing. And most of the persons in the stunt community of Toronto are very willing to help people, to make people better. So that's really good. And you got to keep up your own training. I look at the training for stunts like being a professional fighter, or even the amateur fighter, you might as well say, because you need to be in shape, because you don't know when you're going to get that call for a fight. When we were fighting, we fought sometimes 3 times a week, which is not really heard of anymore, because that was old school. But like we'd fight Monday, fight Friday night, and then Sunday night, and coach would just call and say, "Hey, you got another fight, you want it?" And well, it wasn't really a question, do you want it? You were told you were fighting, and it's like, "Coach, I just fought twice already. So what? Easy fight for you." Yeah. Anytime we were told it was an easy fight, guess what? It was never an easy fight. So, but it built character, it built diversities, and you have to have a good work ethic with the film industry, because if not, you'll get left behind in a heartbeat. And there's always someone there to take your place, unfortunately. So
I just wanted to note is checking into the live stream that you guys can throw like any questions in the chat you want to ask for Wayne, and there's also a question app they can use as well. But yeah,
Yes, going back to some movies you watched on the come up of different stunts that stuck out to you, where it made how they do that, or that would be something awesome to maybe recall from back in
Uh, you kind of broke up on a few things, but got the gist of the question.
the day.
Cool stunts that we've seen, situations that we've
When you
witnessed,
were
or
stunts from movies that would have inspired
Maybe
you.
that stuck with you.
oh wow. Well, um, recent ones are John Wick, but that's too recent
Right.
because we were playing with that type of fight scenes years ago when the fight scenes in movies were more taekwondo or kung fu at the time. There's always a shift in the fighting from, if you look years ago, from the early movies of action, the Chuck Norris movies, all side kicks, spin kicks, big punches, whatever the story is. Then I got to the Kung Fu area with Kung Fu: The Legend Continues, which really, boosted the Kung Fu. Then Taekwondo has always been a big part in movies with kicking. But the very first stunt I ever seen on TV, I think it was Bobby Brown, a U.S. stunt coordinator, stunt performer, doing his world record high fall. It was ridiculously high. And just watching this guy jump off a building, floating through air, which we know humans can't fly, but he made it look like he was just flying and in control and then landing in the airbag and then rolling out. Steven Seagal movie, Above the Law, one of the very first ones when I really liked that movie because that brought out the true jujitsu, aikido, some grappling, some really good judo stuff, but he also added in the punches and everything. So that movie, when we went and watched it at the theaters, I think I was just getting into stunts at that time too. So like that was like a really cool movie flick to watch because the fighting was just brutal. And then you have your war movies, of course, Platoon, all that stuff where you're seeing helicopters and just so much going on, explosions, guns fighting, guys fighting in guns, explosions, things blowing up. And just watching that to see the time and effort that must have took to choreograph all that and bring it together and then break it down in pieces and shooting it, like just phenomenal. There are so many movies. I could probably go on for a few hours here, but and I love my horror movies. I gotta say, I love coordinating horror movies. I love, the Jasons, the Friday the 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Streets, the classic Black Sunday, the John Carpenters. In fact, I was just reading today that they're doing a remake of Stephen King's Christine, and Brian Fuller from Toronto is the one going to be producing it. So I thought that was really cool because when Christine came out, it was kind of a little bit above its time because of the way that they shot the car and the car did all this funky stuff. So I'm very curious to see what the modern day take will be on Christine and what the car will look like too, even though it's going to be all jazzed up and do super stuff, or is it going to be sleek and mysterious like it was, what, 20, 25, 30 years ago now? So we'll wait and see.
We've got some conversation going on in the chat here. What about the Bourne films? Most of that is E.T.
I,
Is it not, Wayne? Bourne films are, mostly someone shaking a camera.
yeah, there's a lot of mixed reviews about Bourne. I like the Bourne stuff myself. The first couple were all right, but then it got a little redundant after a while. But like that close quarter fighting, especially that scene in the washroom, I really like that fight scene in the washroom. I can't remember what Bourne that was, but uh, yeah, a lot of camera shaking, but they did a lot of hard stunts. That kind of set the fighting for movies to another level as well. So
Right?
Daredevil, I love the Daredevil hallway fight that Phil did.
Yeah.
That scene was, and they did that in one take. It
Mm.
was like one take, and they just shot it, and it was just phenomenal. So like, Yeah, I could go on. You're getting me excited now about fighting because that's my
Well, let's
next.
let's I guess go one more time back to the beginning. And have you always been daring?
Um,
Is that like a part of your
yeah,
your
like,
being?
well, some people come to us and say when they want to get in stunts, that word daring can be a little,
A weird word.
um, yeah, because we get guys calling us all the time or sending us emails. Hey, I'm crazy. I'm a daredevil. I'll do anything. Well, those are the kind of guys that we don't want around because they're more of a liability instead of using a calculated decision or calculating the stunt out. So like as me as a kid, I was just a little tyrant. I climbed bridges, jump off bridges, climb trees. We'd make our own dirt bikes and go karts and like just we even at one time we got a little above ourselves, we'll say, and we started playing with homemade pipe bombs, you might as well say, and it didn't really go well. My brother packed it too tight, and it
No.
blew up. It blew up in his hand, and he had to go to the hospital. So we're walking home trying to think of all these things where we're going to tell our parents that happened. He fell down. He got his hand caught here, but meanwhile, when we went to the hospital, the doctor knew exactly, and boy, did we ever take a whooping after that. So
Oh,
well, we stole my grandfather's shotgun shells for the powder, and we were just little tyrants and daredevils back then. But I slowly got out of that mystic world, I guess I'm supposed to say. So,
well, I think let's jump right into some recent news, and I'm hearing it a lot on the social media pages I'm looking at because we have some ties to this film, but it's one that we've both been involved with in some capacity. Die in a gunfight.
got the shirt on too, man.
Hey! Hey!
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
They, I've been privy to a few little clips that they've sent me here and there. But the trailer, I think they did a bang out job on the trailer. The trailer gives such a very clear insight to how the movie's going to play out. There was a lot of stuff they didn't show in the trailer that I'm thankful for, that we can leave a little suspense for. But like that cast, that crew, that was probably one of the one of my top favorites to work on. Travis Fimmel, we became very good friends. He's just a wonderful individual, funny as hell. Took me out one night. Lucky we were staying in Toronto for the night, and he got me a little feeling a little happy. But it was a good time, and we still stay in touch. He invited me out to his ranch in California. His words, not mine, to shoot coyotes. Come on down and let's shoot some coyotes. And I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting. So he was down in North Bay 3 4 months ago when he called me, but we just couldn't seem to get in contact at that point, or him come to Toronto because they flew him right into North Bay and then flew him out. Diego was fantastic. The whole cast, like we just did such a cool job that they were all, yeah, very, very receptive to all the suggestions. Colin, the director, gave me full creative control of the fights, and we had a great time. Travis, we had this really cool fight preview that we put together, but then when he seen it, he didn't want to do it. He had another idea. So we did another rehearsal, and he came up with some really cool things that we all kind of blended in. It became very raw and very natural instead of a movie fight type thing that look. And there's some really comical moments there where he says some things that I had a hard time not laughing while they're rolling. So it's going to be very interesting. John Tench, Tench,
Yeah.
from Toronto. He was one of the actors. He did the fight scene with Travis, and John's not really a stunt guy, but man, did he do a hell of a job. So, like, kudos to John. Yeah, there we go. So, fantastic guy as well, John. So like, he had a fun time. So yeah, it was a good time, very good time. So really looking forward, and I'm looking to add some of this footage to my demo reel because it's going to be a killer, man. So
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective and what I saw, it was Colin coming in and working on the color session, the colorist at the post house that I work at. You can see from the trailer just how beautifully shot the thing is.
yeah, like the whole thing looks so clean and crisp. I like how they brought the cartoonish
Yeah,
scenes in it. I thought, wow, this just gave it a little extra that I wasn't expecting to see. And when they sent me the trailer, I was like, this is great, guys. Like, so I hope it does really good at the box office. It should. There's a lot of favorable actors in there that have a great following on Instagram. I follow them. They followed me back. We're sharing stuff all the time. I have some behind the scenes video footage that I'd love to post eventually once the movie's out and just show the comical side behind it and the working between coordinators and actors and getting vibes together. So it turned out really well. Very happy with this project.
awesome.
Very happy.
Honestly, it's one of the few and far between examples now of where you have sort of a really good Canadian core working film, and the film is, I don't know, it's kind of in that indie way where it's like it could be, but it actually has gotten picked up. It's going to play. So all the companies, everybody who's involved with it gets to share in on that big thing. So
Yeah, I was so happy to hear that Lionsgate picked them up too. So like that was a big bonus for us as well.
absolutely. Moving into just sort of your resume, how that, like, got the difference between as a fight and stunt choreographer versus being a coordinator. How did those break down? Is it like being a stunt choreographer versus a stunt coordinator? Is there a difference?
Yeah, being a stunt coordinator, I'm responsible for everybody who's on the floor, be it the actors, the stunt performers. So with a stunt coordinator's duties, we don't want risk. We want to eliminate that. The safety factor is there. Everything's got to be safe. We dissect it down to uh, I personally call it grandma speed. We start at a grandma speed, then we get to another speed, then we get to a full tilt. But like for the first little bit of just coordinating, if there's rigging involved, if there's hand pulls, there's falls, there's stair falls or fire burns, all those things have to be worked out, detailed out, segregated to who's doing what. With the fight choreographing, we need to read the script, we need to understand the scene, but I also need to get the director's vision because what they think in fights and what we think in fights can be misconstrued sometimes. And sometimes they'll say, I don't want it to look like martial arts. I don't want it to look like boxing. I want it raw. I want it dirty. I want it just, brutal. So each film is different for the action. And as a fight choreographer, you need to have a well-based fight background. So been very lucky through my future boxing, jiu-jitsu, judo, so on, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, all that. And then the weapons, knives, guns, sticks. So like all that comes in. And if you have a lot of these skills for a fight choreographer, you can make some really cool stuff happen. And I like my style of fighting that is rough, brutal, but we can also tone it up to the flashy, spin kicks and so on. But I'm really partial to that John Wick style. I really like that. Just get it over with and just move on. But I also like a good fight that goes on for like 2 minutes with some very good detail. Be a little bit of boxing, be a little bit of jujitsu. Where I think I sent you the previews for the Die in the Gunfight.
Yes, you did.
Yes. So that style of fighting that we did there first, that's what we got from the director. He wanted it dark. He wanted it like, a little bit of a boxing match, back and forth, tally. But then when Travis came in, he didn't like it.
Right.
So we had to go back, which was, again, another skill that a fight choreographer has to have. Once someone doesn't like it or the director gives approval that we need to change it because the actor is not comfortable with it, doesn't want to do it, doesn't like it, we had to come up with something overnight for the next morning. So went home and I just started brainstorming, talked to Travis. We had a long conversation that night on the phone. I got some ideas from him.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a funny but also brutal little scene that we did when you see it in the movie. So like there's a difference between stunt coordinating and fight choreographing. And sometimes some productions, this happens to me a lot. The stunt coordinator has the show, but they'll bring me in as a fight choreographer. So all the stunts are left to the stunt coordinator, but then all the fight stuff is left to me to design and get approval for. So sometimes I'm both stunt coordinator and fight choreographer. So that's just my luck, I think, because I have that fight background as well. And sometimes it saves production money, yes, because they don't have to hire two people. They get a 2-for-1 package, which is no problem with me. So it's all good.
What about just for the sake, because I'm just trying to cover all these roles, is a cover coordinator basically you're just covering for somebody, or is that?
Yes, yes. When you cover for a coordinator, you usually go in that is something that you're skilled at, or it's a very easy scene that day that the coordinator may be on main unit and then you're on second unit, or he's shooting somewhere else and you just got to, watch two actors do a little bit of actor action, or you have two stunt guys doing a fight. So covering, I'm told what to do. I'm told what is necessary or what I need to bring in for the day. Most of the time with covering, you just go in and make sure everything goes safe, smooth, with no incidents. And those coordinators tend to call out for you to cover them because they trust you that you've done a good job. And I'm not going promoting myself because that's a taboo. If you're covering for a coordinator, the last thing you want to be doing is taking his contacts or leads or producers. So I just go in, do my gig, and go home. And and it's professional. Yeah.
In regards to all the different kinds of disciplines and fighting styles that you've picked up over the years, I'm curious, what were some of the disciplines that came first? I mean, I'm just going through the list here, but obviously big boxing, kickboxing, Japanese jiu-jitsu, Dai Ryu, Ninpo Ryu,
Yeah.
Karate. I'm just
no.
About that.
Yeah. I started boxing first. I wanted to box for a long time. Unfortunately, I came from a little bit of a poor family and not a well-structured family. So boxing was my outlet because I was starting to hang around the wrong people at the age of 14, 15 when I started boxing. I decided I didn't want to go down that lifestyle. I needed something better, but I didn't have money to pay for lessons for boxing. So I went to the club, and back then I had a very, very bad speech impediment as well, where the boxing all ties into confidence with my speech impediment as well. So I went and I walked in and they were getting ready for, I believe it was the Ontarios or the Canadian Championships. And they had some really top-notch caliber fighters there that day sparring. I walked in, and to me it was like an orchestra. The speed bags going off, the guys sparring, the guys, punching and making the noise they make with their mouth and punching the heavy bags. And I just stood there in awe going, finally, I'm at a boxing club. So then the coach comes up, he goes, okay, how can I help you, blah, blah, blah. So I told my story. I was being very truthful. And I go, I want to learn to box, but I don't have the money to pay. I think it was $10 a month back then. That's how long ago this was, because you'll never get a $10 a month membership ever again. So he goes, okay, come back tomorrow. I'll have a decision for you. So okay. I came back, and they threw me in the boxing ring.
Oh, wow.
Well, first they brought me downstairs, sorry, and I punched the bag. I had no freaking clue what I was doing. I was doing the haymaker thing and everything. The coach was like putting his hands over his head. But this is old school boxing. You have to remember, you can't do this stuff today because you'll get in trouble. So they brought me upstairs, put a headgear on me, put some boxing gloves on. I thought, this is weird. Why am I going in the boxing ring for the first time at the boxing club? But this is what they did to you back then. Old school boxing, they threw you to the wolves and see if you were survival. If you survived, I mean, sorry. So the person I sparred with, Dennis McNeil, three-time Canadian champion. I didn't know this. And after the fact of sparring with him, I found out he's wearing horsehair boxing gloves. Now, horsehair boxing gloves are illegal because they pack them so hard, you might as well just run your head off and smash it to a wall because that's all hard. So I'm sparring. I had no clue. First couple punches, bam, 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 and all of a sudden one punch, and he's a southpaw. So it threw me off totally. I had no clue. Why is he standing the other way and not standing my way? Broke my nose. Sounded and felt like a firecracker going off in my head. And all of a sudden I look down and there's just a pool of blood on me and all on the ground. I'm looking around. I'm dazed, obviously.
Yeah.
And they stop. So I'm like, okay, so that's my lesson of boxing. So I go to the hospital, get fixed up. And back then, when you had a broken nose, you know what? Do you know what a tuning fork looks like for music? Yeah. Well, it's a fork with a stem on it. They shove it up your nose and they twist it and straighten it out. And back then, they used to put a metal piece on your nose that they don't do no longer because it forms your nose to the shape of that metal. And I had two black eyes. I go back to the boxing club the next night. They're all surprised to see me. And I'm going, I'm ready to learn. So then coach goes, okay, you earned your spot. So what you're going to do, you're going to come and train, but every night after the gym, I want you to clean up. And I had no problem with that. Put the gloves away, clean the washroom, straighten things up. But coach told me also there's going to be someone to take your place. So in a matter of time, somebody came in the same situation as me, a little bit different maybe, took my spot. So I started training regularly then, and then I started fighting, and then I had a bad speech impediment. Like it was very, very bad in my younger years. I probably couldn't even say 2 or 3 words without getting stuck on one word for 5 minutes at a time. So coach started getting me to coach people, and I was reluctant. I said, I don't want to coach people. I don't want nothing to do with that. He goes, you don't have a choice. You're not paying a membership, and you got to keep your earned. So if you were a fighter at the club, you also had to help out with the coaching of new people. So for some reason, I don't know why, and I still don't know to this day, I found a knack for teaching people. They listened to me. And then once they started listening to me and doing what I was asking and not, laughing at my speech impediment or so on and so forth, because it was a different era back then, I started getting more confident. And slowly, for some reason, my speech impediment started getting less. And coach started noticing, he goes, you're not even stuttering no more. I'm like, oh, okay. So then I stopped boxing because it was a choice of turning pro or working for a living. And back then, a pro fighter in Canada, I think you were making like $100 for a 4-round fight. You're getting $50 a round. You maybe fought once or twice a month. You can't live on that. So I took a job instead at the local plant. Gave up boxing, but then I found a niche. I felt that there was something missing because when you're a fighter, don't mean to sound to be a little weird here, but like when you take yourself away from that arena or that game or that sport, there's something missing. You're lacking something. And my wife didn't want me to fight no more because she didn't like me coming home with busted noses and black eyes and concussions and so on and so forth. So I took up martial arts. And the first one was kickboxing. So I already had the boxing skills. They just had to teach me kicking. So I had 10 fights there, did very well. And then that got a little mundane for me. So I went around to all the martial arts studios, karate, taekwondo, and my last stop was the jiu-jitsu club. Okay. A Japanese jiu-jitsu club.
Okay.
And some of the stuff they were doing, flipping people over, getting their arms twisted, choke holds, and I'm like, wow, I've never seen this before in my life. So I started training in that, and then I went to judo. Then I got a karate because my jiu-jitsu instructor was really weird at a blue belt level. He called me in the office and he goes, I want you to train in different styles. I thought he was kicking me out of the dojo. And he goes, no, 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 no. I don't want to leave jiu-jitsu. I want to get my black belt. He goes, no, no, no. I just want you to go to experiment and see what all the other styles are about and learn their ways. And I'm so glad he did that because when we went to tournaments and fight, back then it was called sport jiu-jitsu. We did the karate point sparring too, but I didn't like that. I kind of like the sport jiu-jitsu, kicking, punching, and throwing, and then we had 30 seconds to submit a guy on the ground. So this was fantastic because I get to grab people, throw them to the ground, kick them, punch them, throw them, choke them out, and I'm thinking, wow. And then the UFC, then we started training with the Gracies and Ken Shamrock and Oleg Taktarov and Gene LaBelle. Gene LaBelle was a classic, man. He's unbelievable. But we started just going around training with all kinds of styles. And then before we knew it, we were finding ourselves being mixed martial artists. And then we started fighting in mixed martial arts. Then we started training with more grappling arts and more grappling studios. Yeah, then the military training, then the law enforcement, then the weapons, the guns, the knives. I was a full-time bodyguard for 10 years as well. I loved it. So like we did some really high-profile clients. I got all my training as a bodyguard in the States by former CIA people, G. Gordon Liddy, Robert Fode, Robert Burton. He was the world famous bounty hunter. That show Midnight Express.
Okay.
That was based on his life story. So I got to train with the guy Robert Burton, who was a world-class bounty hunter. Got to train with the Miami-Dade tactical team, South Bend tactical team, and it just went on and on because every time I went somewhere to train, I got invited to another one, and I was like, this is great. And down in the States, they train a heck of a lot different than they do in Canada here. So the rules are totally different. So that was my career in a nutshell. And then my friend got me in the movies. And then all the skills I had, I started getting hired for more fights, more stunts, stair falls, so on. And then it just,
Now we're here.
here I am. Now I'm here. So
Keeping on this storytelling front, we have some photos that we'd like to
Oh, yes, of
show
course.
and maybe hear some of the stories behind these photos that you shared with us.
okay. What photos are you showing?
So we'll start with this one, as we're like big cinephiles, as you are too, it seems. This one is with one of the legends.
Oh, Mr. Del Toro. I love this guy. We did this was on the Strain, and the gentleman from beside me is James Mipolopoulos from BC. Uh, Del Toro, Jamie Jones, the coordinator, who was the stunt coordinator who's a very good friend of mine and a mentor. I love the guy to death. He called me for this because of my jiu-jitsu and my wrestling background. And so it was the fittings. They fitted a whole mask for me, the whole Mexican. I wanted that suit so bad, but Del Toro kept it. But he also put that picture in his book, Del Toro's book of horrors, I believe it was called.
Okay.
A friend of mine called me. He goes, he had the exhibition at the ROM. So I flew down there, got the book. And when I recently worked with Del Toro again on Nightmare Alley with Jamie Jones again, I got him to sign it.
Oh.
So now I have that and signed. He was so happy to sign it for me and everything. And like, there was one part during the wrestling shoot where Del Toro had a megaphone, and every time somebody messed up, "You suck! Don't do it again!" I'm laughing my guts out here, but I made a mistake. I should have zigged when I zagged. He gets on the blowhorn. He goes, "Hey, Wayne, do you want me to tell you you suck, or can you do that again? And I'm like, no. Don't say I suck. Don't say it. I'll make sure. So, but right after we got done to shoot, that was a long day. I think that was a 16-hour day. And James called me 2 days later and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "I'm laying on my couch recuperating." "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Yeah, we were so sore. We had rope burns on us from, slamming in the ropes. I had James' footprint bruised on my right breast or pectoral. It was just a big bruise where he kept kicking me in the same spot. But you know what? I loved it. And then after we got done that day, Del Toro found us and he goes, "We got to get a picture together." And I'm like, "Oh, that would be like a keepsake, right? It's a keepsake." So, and then when we worked with him just recently on Nightmare Alley, seen a whole different side of him because this movie was totally different than The Strain, obviously. And Bradley Cooper, Ron Perlman,
Right.
it was just so cool to see that type of talent all come together. And we were privy to certain conversations because the coordinator was there. I was safety at times, also a performer, but also helping out with the fights and so on. And just to hear these guys talk and to come up with solutions and bounce ideas off of one another was like priceless again, because a lot of the people who watch movies don't see this. They'll never ever see what actually happens or how a movie comes to the finished product. And there's so many things that obviously a lot of people don't know or see, but to be there from ground zero to when it comes out. So I think Nightmare Alley should be out just before Christmas, if I'm not mistaken. I think they were trying before Christmas. So I'm really now Del Toro's doing another one in Toronto called Midnight at 12 or Midnight by 12 or something like that. But he's only doing one episode, and then he's stepping into a producer role for the rest of the series. But a very good friend of ours is the coordinator, so I'm hoping to work on it. So, Darren, keep me in mind if you're listening. So,
Very excited for Nightmare Alley. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Travolta. This guy is fantastic. This was in Montreal, I think 2003, 2004, and it was a show called Battlefield Earth. And just to let you know how cool of a person John Travolta was, he brought in a catering truck, his own caterers, and we ate like kings. We had lobster, filet mignon, we were like a breakfast truck. Anything you wanted in the morning, it didn't matter what you said, the chef would cook it up. And then at the when the show ended, he gave everybody this huge bag of gifts and coats but he took a liking to me for some reason. He called me his little boy, and he just kept yeah, I know it sounds funny, but that's what he called me back then. But the guy's got such a big heart and so generous, but you know what, just a very professional, nice human being. So that was a really cool show too. We had a lot of fun on that.
Oh, 1 second here.
Oh, I don't recognize that picture. Oh, there we go, Trailer Park Boys. This was super cool. The first story that comes to mind here, we're having lunch, and this little kid's riding by with his BMX bike. He's going back and forth 3 or 4 times. So he finally stops. He goes, "Hey, man, you got a cigarette?" I go, "Nah, I don't smoke." He goes, "Then F you and get the F out of here if you don't smoke." And I'm like, "Whoa, okay." That was cool. And then 5 minutes later, this lady came out screaming at the production. We had just gotten back for lunch. I guess they woke her up because she was sleeping, but she came out, and to be polite, she was a little different, we'll say. And she started yelling at the cast and crew. And I heard the director go, keep it rolling, keep it rolling. Don't miss this. So she's yelling, they're rolling. The Trailer Park Boys, they're doing their own thing, but it was comical.
Oh, wow.
We did a demolition derby for this show. I think we had 14 cars out, and we just went crazy. We designed all kinds of like little smashes and T-bones and everything. And Jamie Jones again came out because that was on his bucket list. He wanted to do a demolition derby scene. So I remember him telling me that. So I go, Jamie, let's go to Halifax, man. Let's work on Trailer Park Boys. And he got to smash up a bunch of cars. And we did a really cool bus scene and driving scene where I had to throw spikes across the road, and the car came across it, flattened its tires. So like, it was a real cool time out there. And those guys, the Trailer Park Boys, unbelievable people. They treated us so fine. The only thing I was disappointed about was we weren't able to bring lobsters home, because at the airport you can buy those styrofoam crates of lobsters.
Okay.
But our driver was late picking us up at the motel, so we didn't have the time to go to the lobster place, so we had to get right on our plane. So I promised my family I would bring lobsters home to them. And as soon as I walked through the door, they didn't say hi or nothing. It's like, where's the lobster? And I'm like, oh. So my greeting wasn't as favorable as it would have been if I would have had the lobsters, maybe. So, but it was fun.
Curious. I mean, obviously, the industry that we found ourselves in is very time consuming. So you're talking about just your family. So how's it been balancing work and family in your life?
It was hard at the start when my daughters were younger, because I missed, I don't want to sound like a bad dad here or whatever, but I miss rehearsals. I miss, school plays, because you're in the midst of something, and work is work. That was hard. I felt really saddened at times when I couldn't be there to watch, but luckily video cameras were out back then, videotaped it. As my children got older, of course, they didn't mind so much. My wife has her own career. She's a real estate person, so it's grown. But at the start, when they were younger, and especially working, 12, 14-hour days, coming home, and they want to see you and be with you, you have to find the strength just to be a good dad and, go to the mall, go to the beach, or go for a walk, or so. But it all balanced out. My girls are very, very well behaved, respectable people. They turned out really well. They both have wonderful jobs. So we did something right, I guess.
Yeah, kudos to you and your wife for making that work, and
yeah, man.
Yeah, for sure. That's
also well, looking through all your credits and seeing the decades of experience, I guess just any tips you found for, longevity in this industry and, sustaining a long career in the field.
Yeah, that's. Hold up. Hey Google, turn lights on. Sorry about that. Getting dark here. There we go.
You just talked to Hey Google, and it's talking to our Hey Google.
Oh really? That's hilarious.
Well, it's
That's
like
funny.
our lights haven't been set up yet.
That's funny. Yeah. So in this business, as I mentioned earlier, you have to have thick skin, because you're going to have lovers, you're going to have haters. It's just human nature. It's just not this industry. It's in human nature across the world. What I would say is never lie about your career. Don't tell people you can do things when you've never done them or can't do them. Be honest, be humble, treat people with kindness, or treat people the way that my buddy down here tells, it just turned on my lights as well, Wayne. That's funny. So you need to be a professional, and I've seen some people treat others very bad, yell, That's not nice. That's not nice because I treat people the way I'd like to be treated. I know what it's like to be treated very badly, being bullied and, all that stuff as a kid. And and be prepared. And you got to hustle. This is a job that, yes, once you get established, people are going to call you. But for the first little bit, like when we started, it took 6 or 7 credits to get into the union, and you had to get them within that 1 year. And if you didn't get them within the 1 year, you had to start over. Now it's only 3 credits, and it could take you as long as you want. But I've known some people to have 2 credits for 5 years. So it's hard to even get those 3 credits. And there's a coordinator out there that says this all the time. What makes you stand out over anybody else, and why should I hire you over somebody else? Now, there's a lot of factors in there: professionalism, ability, how you act, how you treat people, on and on and on. And you need to know your place. I've seen people, when the director is talking to the stunt coordinator or the stunters involved, and somebody will speak out of turn, and then the director looks at them and then looks at the stunt coordinator. It's like, you need to know your place. You need to know when to speak or when to give your opinions. There's a protocol. There's always a protocol. So and right now, a lot of the newer people are really focused on the parkour stuff. I get it, but it's not used a lot in movies. It's a great skill. Don't get me wrong. In fact, the gym that we train for the martial arts and fighting and stunt training, they're a parkour club. But you need to be more well-rounded. Go to a gymnastics studio, get on a trampoline, rock climb, rappel, drive a car. And driving a car, stunt driving, is not the same as driving on the street, where a lot of people say they can stunt drive and all of a sudden you get them out. Not myself, but I've heard horror stories where they say they can drive and they wind up crashing into something or doing something horribly wrong. So now a lot of coordinators are asking for footage of certain things that you can do, so we're not put in that position that we're just relying on their word. We want to be able to see. So, and you should be making videos, because for the first little bit, you're not going to have footage to put a demo reel together, but you can be creative yourself and get a bunch of stunters together and, do some choreographing stuff and use that stuff to send it to the coordinators, because at least they can see your ability. And then meeting you is a whole different story after that, because seeing what a person can do on video and then meeting them in person and having conversations, they're two different worlds as well. But I've helped a lot of people get their 3rd credit, because they deserve it and they do great jobs. There's a lot of coordinators who are willing to help people, but right now we have a lot of people in the stunt industry as well, and we have to pool from our resources before we can permit somebody else. And I feel bad sometimes when people are emailing me or texting me and calling me asking me to hire them. And the first question we have to ask them, are you ACTRA? And if they say no, it's like, well, sorry, but keep in touch, because something may change. Or we use these people for SSE or safety work. It's not safety work because they have to be union for that. But with the background, SSE background stuff, we can just get them there to see how they operate on film, how they hold themselves. So,
getting into the community a little bit there. I want to just touch on that for a moment. Just some community grow over the years, and what impacts I guess COVID has had to it, but also how maybe you've seen the community be resilient in this time as well.
Yeah, when we have a great community. all communities have their flaws here and there, but we have a very strong stunt committee that's working very hard to change things. We just got someone elected to help us with the actor fraternal. So we actually have a stunt member on the actual fraternal benefit committee now that's a stunt coordinator and a stunt performer. That's a bonus for us. We hold regular general meetings. I try to make as many as I can. COVID has slowed things down. We're not allowed to go to the actor office. It all has to be so on and so forth through phones, emails. We were all worried when the COVID started. It sounded very scary at the start, and then we started hearing all these stories from production companies. There were production companies even saying, if we don't get back up and running, we have to claim bankruptcy. We're out. And to reestablish, they were saying another production company could take 2 to 3 years to get it up and running to where they were before. So like we were all worried. And then, but our community, ACTRA, safety representatives, producers, production companies, you guys all stepped up to the plate and put guidelines, formats, protocols, testing, all that kind of stuff, which was a big expense. I'm probably estimating another 30% on top of all productions just to deal with that. Now, a lot of production companies could have said, you know what, screw you and go to a European country or somewhere else, but they chose to come here because our dollar is at a good price. And for what they pay for a movie here, they get extra stunts, bigger budgets, all that kind of stuff. And we're still a little bit worried because a lot of people are worried right now that is there going to be a vaccine passport? There are some people who don't want to take the vaccine. There are some people who are willing to take it. I'm not taking sides here, but like if a vaccine passport comes into play for productions, what's that going to do for the people that don't want to take the vaccine? So there's still a lot of questions, but like we're working towards that to help each other. Hopefully there'll be a major consensus between ACTRA, production companies, producers, the IPA, or whatever it may lead to, that we can still keep working without a vaccine passport, or who knows, but like we're getting stronger. The stunt community in Toronto is getting stronger. We're working more together. We're having more productions come in. ACTRA is really stepping up to the board too, to make more information and more resources available to us. And they've got a helpline for suicide, mental illness, anxiety, all that stuff. So like, it's been a big eye-opener for a lot of us, I guess, but I'm thankful that we're all still working and being able to do what we love to do, man.
Well, I just want to do a quick flashback to this moment back on The Burglar, and just wanted.
You know what?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Just thank you for the work you put in.
Well, he just called me 2 weeks ago, and because he got called by his agent, they wanted him to play a black Ronin. There's a guy out there who did Mulan. Ron Yuan. He's the director. He's doing the remake of 47 Ronin. So they want to put a black Ronin in. So he got the call. He called me out of the blue. The last time I spoke to him was when we were on that set.
Yeah.
He called, he goes, can you help me right away to put a sword scene together and some fights and all that? So like, one night, come up with all these things. We made a nice little video for him. He sent it off. I haven't heard nothing yet. I kind of hope he gets it, because that would be a nice little kudo for all of us. Yeah, exactly. So, but that was a very quick little challenge, but he's a great guy. I stepped up to the plate to help him on the last minute, a whim. I do that a lot when a lot of actors call me as well. I got this gig, need to learn how to box in 3 days. Holy
Right.
God. How am I going to teach you to box in 3 days? But you know what? We make it work. So if you do certain skills or provide certain skills that they can be really good at, it could look like they're a professional fighter. So like, I don't mind helping out actors. I don't mind doing these little demo reels for them or previvs to help them get a gig because, again, the hustle, the networking is huge in this business. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
like, you can't sit around and wait for the phone to ring for us. And I tell all the new people, a lot of the new stunters, they're kind of shy to reach out to the coordinators. So what I say to them is just get their information, get permission first, of course. You always have to ask, but send them a random text once a month. Keep it short, keep it sweet. The old saying, out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
If in this business, if people don't hear or see from you for a month or 2 months, they think you vanish. So like you need to keep your name. And someone once told me too, even if people are talking bad about you, at least they're putting your name out there. So
So if you're no,
we'll take good and bad. So
I
you know
wanted,
what I mean? So
yeah, well, I want to just wrap up. I mean, we'll ask one more sort of like finale question, but this is something I'm just kind of curious about. What you see in the future of filmmaking and also working on like a new film, like just going back to Die in a Gunfight and creating new sort of sequences that or just yeah, what are some things that I guess you would be looking to see in future films, and also what you can with your work and what you put out there, and the type and the style of stunt and fights that you can get onto screen. I guess kind of the question there, like where do you want to see it going?
um, that's a good question, actually. Wow. The fights have been improving, the stunts have been improving, the driving stuff, like especially the driving in John Wick,
Yeah.
like especially that Mustang that comes from the bay door down onto the ground and hits. And they're
Yeah.
doing wonderful things with vehicle stunts now, um, high falls. When we get the script and we do our breakdown, that's when the creative concepts or juices or flows start happening. Because if you just tell me briefly prior to sending me a script, yeah, we have this in it, we have some fights, we have this, that doesn't really explain much. But once you start reading the script and the scenes and the details, that uh, little phrases that may not mean something to somebody but means a big thing to us, like how they turn. So like while we're reading the script and doing our stunt breakdown, I'm also making notes for the action that's happening, because I know once my breakdown goes in, I got to have another conversation with the director. And that is usually a private meeting that happens with the producer, line producer, director, AD, and the stunt and fight choreographer. So like then that's where you get the finalization for like how violent they want it, what style they're looking for, be it a flashy style or more of a hit and run style. We did a show in Ottawa a few years ago called His Master's Voice, and the director was very vague on the truck and car hit, but we had a 10-ton truck with a Crown Vic. Well, 10-ton truck is a big freaking truck, and we knew what was going to happen when we hit the car. But the director was like, I don't know much about car stuff. I don't know how you guys are going to do it. Run with it. So we're like, oh, okay, great. So now we get to do everything that we needed to do for safety. The impact of this hit was, I think it was there in my demo reel too, that you probably watched, but it was totally more than what we expected. And we did another show. What was it called? Pie Whack It.
Oh yeah.
So we did a fire burn with Dana Jones, Jamie Jones's wife.
Okay.
And so this was my first fire burn as a coordinator. It was a full body burn from head to toe. So before I called Dana to ask her, because she was a perfect double, I called Jamie and I said, hey, we have this fire burn. Your wife is like ideal for this. I'd like to hire her for this. And I knew he was going to ask me questions about the fire burn. So I've done a lot of fire burns. I've worked with fire burns. I've been part of that fire burn team. And all the questions he asked me, I answered right because he gave me permission to ask his wife, because I wanted to go through him first because he's a very highly decorated stunt coordinator in Toronto. So, and then the fire burn went fantastic. Casey Walker, the Brothman brothers,
Yeah.
all those guys, that was their show.
Yeah.
While she was on fire, we could hear the people standing behind us gasping, oohing and awing, and then once it was all done, everybody started applauding. And that's the first time I've ever seen cast and crew applaud for something that dynamic. So called Jamie right away and I go, hey, your wife's fine. There's no blisters. There's no hot spots. And he goes, I knew you'd do a good job, because we brought good people in for the fire team as well. So we brought Stefan Lefebvre and Mike Shute in from Montreal, who are very, very good fire burn people. And the only incident we had on that, so a little behind the scene here, the hair and makeup girl wanted to put hairspray in the wig. And so the stunt performer, Dana, called me and goes, hey, Wayne, this girl's not listening to me. She wants to put hairspray in my hair. I go, what? You can't do that. It's flammable. And it doesn't matter because we're going to put gel on the wig anyway and make it look, it's not going to look pretty. It's just going to be all messed up. So I went there, I talked to the girl, she was reluctant, and I tried to be as polite as I could, explain everything. So I had to call the executive producer and I go, you have to deal with this for me. She's not listening, she's not getting it. If there's an ounce of hairspray on this wig, we're not doing it. So he got all upset, he ran out there, and he was cool with her, he didn't yell or scream at her. He explained it to her too, and she finally got the gist of why we can't use hairspray. But if I didn't know about this, or the stunt performer didn't tell me, this could have been a major, major, like, bad thing. So, like, we need all of our people. We work as a team. It's not, you have one person always spearheading everything. But I like the team concept because everybody's got a good viewpoint. Everybody may pick out, or somebody may pick something out that somebody's missed or noticed. So, like, I have no problem with open formatted conversations. Not everything's usable, but at least you also make people feel like they're part of a team. They've got something that they're all working for very diligently, and the outcome is give the producers, the production, the directors everything they want, and our side, we all go home unscathed. So,
Nick, you want to wrap it up?
I was just going to say, Wayne,
thank you,
so
man,
much
for your time. Thank you very much.
hey, man, no problem. It was fun, actually. I loved it. Let's do it again one day.
Yeah, we can't wait to see all the stuff got coming up, and I'm sure all the great stuff you're working on right now. So,
we can go back and watch a few for sure.
yeah. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you again for coming on, and nice to meet you. It was a good chat.
I just want to give you the opportunity to give any shout out you may want to give anybody out there, maybe people that checked in. We had quite a
great crowd.
kudos to the crowd.
Yeah, I was looking, and there's so many friends and coworkers, and I just want to say, hey guys, Dylan. Dylan, I've also touched Wayne's breast. Some of these guys say some, but you know, it's all fun. Yeah, it's all fun. And thanks for everybody. Wow, there's some friends I haven't talked to in a while here. Holy moly. Oh, wow, look at this. Guys, thank you for the opportunity. This was great. And all the people that sat in, oh, even my daughter sat in on this. Oh, that's funny. Okay, cool. And yeah,
Can't wait.
thank you very much. And hopefully we get to work together soon, one day in the near future, my friend, and have some more fun. And we'll keep in touch one way or the other.
Stories tonight, man. That was
Had fun, guys. Had a lot of fun.
have a
Take
great
care.
night.
Thanks,
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.